anyone who thought that simply did not have in-depth knowledge.
Well, and you also pointed out, Mr. Strasser, about the RLRC, too, the group that really met for a long period of time looking at these lands, and that sort of negates a lot of effort and work on their part, too.
This was not an easy process. It was hard fought. A lot of people were unhappy with not being included. Some were unhappy at being included. But it was not capricious. It was not an overnight decision.
Mr. Densmore.
I quite agree. One additional thing I'd like to make is that not only the Planning Commission but the Council considered a number of applications from a number of different folks, and when we had come to what we believed was consensus in this process, we said no to them. And they came to through a city process, through a city planning commission, through a city council, and we're told no. And now we find people who bypass the city process completely, go to the county to try to play the game, and I just don't think we ought to encourage that at all.
Other comments? Mr. Gordon.
I'm a little nervous about doing this without further review. There's some of the areas that I really don't know a lot about, such as MD1. I also know, in my opinion, we're short on industrial land. That might be an area that really could help the city in future years. And my preference is that we do take it to a study session and that we have an opportunity to listen to their reasoning, as well as allowing us the opportunity to thoroughly vet this to make sure that we're making the right recommendation to the county commissioners. So if we go to a vote on this as it is, I will vote no.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Strasser.
I absolutely understand Mr. Gordon's position in the out of the 12 years, the almost 2 that he's been here. Unfortunately, I've lived through the other 10.
The other 10, right.
So we have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Linda, would you call?
Who seconded the motion?
Mr. Coons. Thank you, Jim.
Bob Strasser?
Yes.
James Coons?
Yes.
Chris Corcoran?
Yes.
Al Densmore?
Yes.
Dick Gordon?
No.
Karen Blair?
No.
Greg Jones?
Yes.
John Michaels?
No. This up here.
There are 5 yes and 3 no, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Strasser.
Having passed this, there's also nothing says that we can't bring back the data and the research in a study session that will help some of the council members who may not have participated in all of this to understand the angst that went through in selecting these properties.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I personally would appreciate that, Your Honor.
Okay. So I'm assuming, since we're up against timeframes and study sessions, that we're looking at, would an August 11th be too early for staff, or, okay, all right. So if we can, I guess.
It's 3 weeks away.
Oh, well, it's
That's
almost forever.
I don't see any problem with it at all, Mayor.
I'm sure you don't, Mr. Dial.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Yeah.
Anything else I can do to help you?
I don't have any problem with it either. At this point.
Not now, but maybe later.
Okay.
Mr. Dial.
We have a report from Brian Shotun, our Parks and Recreation Director, on some grant activity that is good news for the city.
Your Honor and Council, I'm happy to report in the press releases there in front of you that the Parks and Recreation Department has received 2 state development grants through the local government grant program in the amount of $376,513 for Phase 1 development of Oregon Hills Park and $44,000 for the development of the playground at Lone Pine Park. The department, since 2005, when you add these grants, will have received $1,050,000 for development projects for Lewis Street Park, U.S. Cellular Community Park, Lone Pine Park Phase 1, through the local government grant program. So We should have a grant award contract to be before you either at the second meeting in August or the first meeting in September, and we hope to have both of these projects completed sometime in late summer of 2012. So it's good news on the grant fund.
Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Shotun. Mr. Dial.
That's all I have.
That's all you have.
Thank you.
Is this an appropriate time to, or do you want to, would you rather?
We could everyone come back at 7 tonight.
We could do that. We are. Oh.
I don't know that I'll be here for that.
I would
No.
like to turn the time over to you
Oh.
at this point, or do you want to do it right at the end of the meeting as we wrap
Oh,
up?
this is fine.
Okay, since it's still under city manager. So we have a presentation to do, and
Right.
Why don't we do the presentation first so I can have the last word?
okay.
Your Honor,
Yes.
we have remarks of council members down at the end. I think we can have the last word.
Yeah.
Well, some have to leave, you know. So.
I'll give you the option of actually being at the podium, or we'll do it right here. And
We can do this here, and then I'll go to the podium.
okay, fair enough. Well, it's obviously no secret. Mr. Dial is going to be retiring at the end of this month. And this is a small token of recognition, appreciation for his service to the city of Medford from June 1st, 1998 to September 29th, 2011. And obviously, I want to express my appreciation. We had our last council officers meeting with Mr. Dial this morning, and it's been a pleasure from my standpoint as mayor to be able to work and learn and do good things under Mr. Dial's management, and he's brought a lot of things to the table for us, and I really do sincerely appreciate all of his effort. But I'm also looking at Mrs. Dial, Margaret, and the one thing I told Mike when we were going through lunch, I'm going to miss your lemon cake for Christmas.
I echo that.
That's what they're going to miss.
Well, among many other things, but nonetheless, that's one thing that came to mind because that's always been a nice tradition, and it's been fun to do that. I guess my way of saying is thanks for sharing Mike with the city of Medford. It's been a lot of time and effort. I think Mike said he spent a year in evening meetings or something like that. I mean, it's an incredible amount of time and effort on behalf of all the citizens of Medford in this job, and I want to say thanks to him and to you both for sharing both your lives, and the kids have come through this in 13 years. There's been a lot of change in your family and spreading of the family East Coast, West Coast, and elsewhere, and so hopefully you'll find time to go visit and have some fun. So, but we do expect a postcard occasionally saying from maybe Brazil. I'm not sure, but we'll find out about that too. But thank you very much, Margaret. Appreciate it. So, Mr. Dow, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, and all the council. If I could go to the podium, I have a couple of things I'd like to say. Not so much to wrap up a career. I know I'm not supposed to speak unless I'm at the podium.
I don't know.
That's right.
That's right.
It's all right. We'll fire you.
Mr. Dow,
He's not mic'd up. We can't hear you.
yeah, now you're see he's broken the prime rule of speaking here. He's just talking all the way around to the
Yeah.
podium. And
I'm going to do that forever. I
none
feel
of
so
us picked it
sorry
up
for
on
the
the record.
citizens,
We
you
have
know?
no idea.
Timers.
You know, you've all heard 38 plus years, 30 of those years as a manager in 4 cities and 4 states. I had Heidi 3 years ago. I gave her some conservative calculations and said, how much time have I spent in evening meetings in my career? And that wasn't there. The only reason I bring that up is that wasn't just here in Medford. That was for those 30 years. She came back to me a little while later and said, you have spent on a 24/7 basis 1 whole year in evening meetings. So, you know, that's one of the numbers that you throw together, you know. You work for 8 mayors, about 100 council members. You go through 21 or suffer through 21 legislative sessions. It's all part of it. But today, in the men's room, before this meeting began, I had a part of my career aptly described in terms of the changes that have occurred. You can't start and end the same way, right? Greg, you know that. Bob, you know that. You all know that, or Bill. When Bill Hoke said to me, there's a time, Michael, when you would come in here and comb your hair and part it and so forth. But now, when we say you have a hair out of place, or you're going for a haircut, we speak in the singular. So that's one of the great changes I've had come to pass, and my loyal, devoted number 2 is the one who got to share that with me.
That's the least I could do, boss.
It would be easy for me to stand here and say it's all about me, but it isn't. And this is the main reason why I wanted to just make some remarks. This Medford is a truly good place on the planet. You all know that. Let me say something at the end at the first I was going to say at the end. I've got some thoughts here, but maybe they'll bounce around and still come out making sense. When we moved here, we had an experience we'd never had before. And this is the 4th city, 4th state that I've been a manager in. I had lots of people, not 1 or 2, not a few, lots of people individually come to me I'd be somewhere in the community or whatever, and make this comment to me: welcome to Medford. Now, I've never been welcome to any other place I've been a manager to. I wasn't diswelcome, but, no one came and made that statement. And then they would add a reason why. And the 2 that I remember were, it's a good place or a great place to raise children, or they'd say, we searched or traveled all over the country to look for where to retire, and we chose Medford. So the message to me was, this is a place that people enjoy, they know why they like it here, and they're grateful and glad they're here. And so we, as a group of department heads and management team, employees, have tried to improve upon that. And I'll say this, crud. I can look back, I can count on one hand the number of bad council members out of 100 in 30 years. Overwhelmingly, the elected officials I have worked for and worked with have all wanted to improve and make better the community they know and love. That is why you people are here. That's that same reason all over the country. That is a great thing about America, because that's one of our strengths. Department heads. I can't belabor this. I'll tell you in a minute how good they are in just 3 examples, because I could give you lots of examples from every department here represented by their department head. But let me first tell you something that I didn't expect to have happen, but it's the result of a team coming into place. This didn't really happen when Greg was on board. It happened subsequent to that, and it happened over time. Typically, and a couple of you have heard this, when we have a Monday morning staff meeting or an every other Thursday morning agenda setting meeting, not every time, but certainly every month, and certainly more than once every month, we have a riotous good time. A department head will make a straight, serious comment, and someone in the room will take that and make a funny out of it, usually at the expense of the person who said it, but not always. And we have we have a parade of comedians in the department heads of the city. They are really a funny group of men and women. So we have a great time together. We have a fun time together. And that doesn't mean that sometimes we don't just sit there and seriously go about some work. We always get the work done, but what has happened over the last several years, whether electronically or otherwise, that's one of our inside jokes. We have a lot of fun, and I don't think you can do that unless you come together as a team, and it certainly solidifies the teamwork. I don't want this to be all about me. What I've had is a career that's been an adventure.